It was all Leo Rosenstratton's fault and his mate Leo Kaites in 1971. Samantha laid it down on vinyl, and it was introduced to us Brits by a Swedish lady called Sylvia Vrethammar, or Sylvia, as we accepted her by, in 1974. Now, of course, I'm talking about that literary gem, Y Vive España, that song. Right? In spite of the song having more cheese than a Swiss fondue, it was a trigger which the guiris, which is us, is a slang, Spanish slang for like gringo,
Yeah.
needed to spread their wings a little bit and look further afield as to where they could spend their fortnight in the summer. It started off small, with some people managing to bring back their sunburn from the Costa Brava, and after timeshare flats were built and part of some of the hotels in the Costa del Sol, there was no stopping us. Even I had 6 months in Barcelona and still frequently visited afterwards. We were everywhere. I met the TEFL teachers in Barcelona living their alternative lifestyles. Brock the, Brock the Canadian,
Yeah.
and Nina, his English girlfriend,
Yeah.
and Patrick, the Irish English teacher. I'd love to, love to listen to his students
Yeah.
speaking English with an Irish accent. And they were all there. They were all
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like a community. And as Spain was in full expansion, everything was hunky dory.
Yeah.
Brits taking advantage of the cheap beer, and the Spanish putting up with the drunk visitors.
Mm.
After all, a peseta was a peseta back then, and the Brits had them, and the Spanish wanted them.
Change. Yeah.
Then, of course, came the 1830 holidays packages, and things got a little bit different. What used to be a delightful visit to Park Güell to appreciate Gaudi's artwork turned into booze-fueled nights in Magaluf, the popular tourist spot for the rough and ready. And now that the tourism industry has expanded and that Spain has developed more, they find themselves in a position to be a little bit more picky. Spanish. Realizing that enough is enough and life is comfortable, relatively speaking, compared to 50 years ago, the Spanish are seen they're overcrowded, not only by the Brits, but other Central and Northern Europeans who are renting the B&Bs or buying up holiday homes, which the Spanish would just call homes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose they reached the conclusion that now that they have it, money isn't everything, and they want their country back. A little bit like Portugal did when Brits bought up all the real estate in the Algarve for their retirement homes in the late 1960s. The Spanish don't want nightly brawls, shirtless red-backed delinquents aggravating their laid-back lifestyle anymore. And so for this last weekend, they took to the streets, from the Canaries to Valencia, from Barcelona to Madrid. They sent a plain message to their national government: no mass. Many English people have already seen the writing on the wall, and through cheap European flights and Eastern European countries, finding themselves in a similar situation as where Spain once was, are with open arms for the British contingent. Turkey seems to be faring best with an increase of 54% in British bookings for this year. And Konyaaltı Beach in the city of Antalya is a favourite of the Knotted Hanky and String Vest Brigade. So loaded up with Turkish lira, off they go in search of Turkish delights. But a cautionary tale to the 1830 Brigade: Turkey is not Spain, and is a lot more conservative, so they won't put up with anything out of hand. It is, after all, a Muslim country, and they take their laws seriously. For those that in the UK have this sort of, should we say, alternative lifestyle, who wish to be called one of 57 genders, I would say, especially those that have the placards saying Queers for Palestine,
Yeah.
I would
So,
say
yeah.
they're advised to give this one a miss.
Okay.
Either that or sit up straight, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Right. Okay. Interesting thing. Yeah, I mean, being somebody who was aged between 18 and 30 when the 18 to 30 holidays were sort of, yeah, in their prime, if as it were, I never really fancied it myself. Yeah. Um, Never really saw the point in going somewhere different to do what I could do exactly where I lived, the resort where I lived, or go to another resort elsewhere in the UK and do exactly the same, have my fish and chips and heavy drinking, as it were. I did it in other places, but um, yeah, I always wanted to go somewhere and have a look at it, find the culture, if you like, and look at the architecture and yeah, doing something a little bit different. Yeah. Okay. But I mean, if it was on offer, okay, people could have it, perfectly legitimate. And to a certain point, extent, it was encouraged by the British media. Yeah. And they did the advertising, used to have whole page spreads, 18 to 30. Yeah. The the brochures and everything else, which were very, very suggestive. Yeah, come and have a good time, as it were. Um, okay, younger people are going to be younger people. And then we had a raft of TV programs, such as, yeah, we used to follow them round, and then the reality TV shows where they had the parents there watching on monitors. Yeah, so that's a good one. Or you should see that on some of them on YouTube, mate, or on social, on the media. They're quite funny. Yes. Um, yeah, not that I ever got up to anything I wouldn't want my parents knowing about, of course. But yeah, I don't know why I bother now. Everyone looks at fake, puts it on Instagram. Um, but it was an interesting phenomena. Phenomenon, phenomenon. Now, obviously, the protests have been in Spain. They suddenly got their money. They've made their money because of it. Oh yeah, we don't want it anymore. Genie out the bottle is almost suggestive there. Yeah. When they suddenly find that the tourism money dries up, what they're going to want next. Yeah. Um, I
think
don't
in
know.
the case, I think in the case of Spain, although it
Yeah.
will make a dent on the GDP,
Yeah.
I think in the case of
Yeah.
Spain, their sort of economy
Mm,
is quite stable
mm,
in relation to things that they produce and sell to
yeah.
other countries.
Well, yeah. They're not reliant on to the tourist trade and
Well,
any.
well, I mean they are to a certain extent
Yeah.
because they've got a lot of coast and they've got a
Yeah.
lot of sunshine.
Yeah.
So,
But winter
but I
something.
think
Well,
that
yeah.
they're coming to the point of where they're saying, we can't take this hassle
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, yeah.
Not worth it for the money.
I mean, I do agree with them that people that go in there being boisterous and causing problems and fighting in the streets, things that are unacceptable in the UK should be unacceptable anywhere else as well. And to be, if you end up in trouble, you get arrested, you should be facing your time in Spain, not be shipped back to the UK. If the Spanish want to keep you there to set an example, well, no, I don't know. Law shouldn't be about setting examples, but you know what I'm saying, yeah. Um, or if you get,
Despite there's fighting on the streets in
yeah,
the UK in winter, they'll be fighting in duffel coats.
it's quite funny when you see that, yeah, yeah. It's a Yeah, I mean, yeah, behave. Okay, I was always taught, yeah, you behave yourself if you're in another country. And yeah, the same as if I see if I see foreign people in Brazil. There's a famous one of a guy who's ripping up or shaking a lamppost in Rio. Have you seen that video? Yeah. Um, yeah, I saw it again this morning. Yeah, appalling behaviour, absolutely appalling behaviour anywhere, unacceptable. Yeah. Um, He's actually quite lucky here. The police didn't actually get hold of him here because they'd have explained the situation to him. um, yeah, they're used to dealing with their own thugs and problems. So they're not going to see you as one.
Well,
Um,
the police's
yeah,
answer across here is a little bit different than what it is from the English police.
yeah,
Let's just put it that way.
yes. Um, now now down in Turkey. Now talk about Turkey, which is the main thrust of this going there. I mean, I've met Turkish people in London. Used to hang around with them actually, to be quite honest. I have good friends who are Turkish people. I've been in a bar a Turkish bar in West London, dancing to Turkish punk songs. Yeah, having a bit of a laugh and joke. Um, yeah, okay, but they know the limit. They behave themselves. I found them very respectful towards me and other people. Yeah. Um, and we should do the same there. If the Turkish are happy to have foreign people come and visit them, remember Turkey is a very rich place for cultural, well, say architecture, um, learning, if you like, academia, etc. You can go there for that sort of holiday. If you want to go to a beach that maybe catch the winter sun or something, why not? Yeah. But as you say, they do have a slightly different. The way I understand Turkey, and I've never been there, is it's very tolerant, but there is a limit. Yeah.
83% of Turkish people are teetotal, to
Yeah.
give you an idea, right?
Mm.
Because of the religion in the
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
I think it's 97% are Muslim.
Mm.
They do allow drinking
Yeah.
because it's a drinking that fuels the rest.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it does in Magaluf anyway.
Yeah.
You know, in Magaluf, the bar owners are dragging people in
Yeah.
and giving them free drinks just to
Yeah.
get them start them going. You know,
Yeah.
in Turkey it's a lot different,
Mm.
and I imagine that those that are booking holidays to go to Turkey are either mature couples
Yeah.
or families with small children.
Mm.
They just want somewhere peaceful to lie down in the sun.
Yeah. That's it. Now, the other thing you said about people buying up properties that are laying idle 90% of the time.
It's a lot cheaper in Turkey.
Yeah. Um, I can understand, yeah, as you said, the Spanish always regarded them as normal homes. And whilst it's good to pump some money into the economy doing that, there are homeless people or people that would like to buy properties, you're pushing their prices of their own properties up, etc., supply demand, etc. Um, yeah, I mean, I it's something I've often worried about that they probably suffer the same as we do in the UK. There's a lack of properties for people to move into and lots of empty places where
There's
people.
a re there's a report in the newspaper
Mm,
today
mm,
about the homeless that are
mm,
keeping down in Mallorca airport,
mm,
and it's in Mallorca, it's in Valencia,
mm,
and one other airport where come 6 o'clock at night, the place gets taken over by the homeless,
mm.
and you can see rows upon rows upon rows of homeless people, uh, either just homeless
Yeah.
or drug addicts or the misfits that you find are living that don't have a roof over their head.
Mm,
It is quite a bad, and because the climate, of course, is not very aggressive
yeah.
into cold.
Mm,
The airport is only one meeting point for the
mm,
homeless.
mm.
The homeless will sleep on the street because it's not cold,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we got
not all that cold.
yeah, well, obviously well, I don't say we're used to it. We know that happens here, but not necessarily in the airport. They get moved on out the airport. Um, it's a um, yes, that is a problem. I I'd like to say it's just not there. I'd like to say that yeah, it's not only there; it's across Europe as well. There are other places, homeless in Germany and everywhere else, across the whole of Europe.
You'll, fi-
Um,
you'll, I think you'll find it's across. Yeah, I was about to say you find it more common
mm,
in developed countries.
mm,
Because you find it in the United States, you find it in the UK, like you said, you find it all across Europe, and
mm,
they're all developed economies and countries, and it's
yeah,
where these people, for one reason or another, has slipped below the economic radar
mm,
and are left destitute and sleeping in airports and under bridges.
yeah. I mean, it's a sad thing. Um, it doesn't seem to be. It doesn't matter which administrations get in. It always seems to be there. Some of them it gets worse. Who are meant to be the helping them. It's potentially going to get worse in the UK with, let alone with people coming in from the outside, as it were, with our own indigenous population who can't afford to have any, who can't even find somewhere to rent now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, we all know it's a struggle anywhere. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you don't have some money, you're going to have a problem. Um, I thought the idea of the EU was to actually address issues like this, not, and it doesn't seem to be working. But okay, that's a different issue for another another day. I don't want to go down too far down that road today. Um, yeah, it again, it is an issue. Everything is a knock on. I mean, getting back to the original thing. I mean, having a holiday should be an entitlement, not entitlement. It should be something people should have an option to do if they can afford it. Okay, fair enough. Um, it is still a middle class luxury, getting even more so now. Um, yeah, I mean,
I
okay.
think with the advent of cheap airfares,
Hmm,
it's opened up the. I mean, to get a flight from the UK to Poland for £15,
yeah,
it's cheaper than getting a cab from my
yeah,
sister's house to central Barnsley. You know,
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
I mean, it's opened all that up for the. I mean, I've seen reports of people who are unemployed
yeah,
bragging that every 2 weeks they go abroad.
yeah. Cheaper, yeah, yeah. It, 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 it. I mean, yeah. I mean, if it's I mean, yeah, we're now living in a world that is so connected. As I said, it's almost growing to be a as keep saying, we are now at the point where we're actually talking about a global civilization. Yeah, the global village, as you call it. Yeah, and again, there's travel. I mean, okay, you jump on an aircraft, well, even from my local airport, and you're in Europe in 40 minutes. Yeah, whether that is in Europe. Okay, that's a British thing, very British or English thing to say in Europe. But yeah, you're in Europe, and it's yeah, you can walk around. I mean, it's a day trip to some people. Go there for like 60, 80 pounds.
I
Yeah,
I did that my second last visit to England. I did that with my sister and my son and her daughter. We went
yeah,
to Paris. We went to Paris for a day
mm,
simply
yeah,
because we could.
yeah, yeah. Paris. I mean, yeah, Paris. We stayed there a weekend once, but yeah, it's. I mean, Paris. Paris is worth a visit if anyone's never been. Well, it
I,
was.
I, I,
Yeah,
I've lived in Paris for a while also,
yeah,
but so for me to go to Paris was
yeah,
not a great deal.
yeah,
But for my sister,
mm,
it was a decent day out.
yeah, yeah.
'Cause she's hardly ever goes abroad.
Well, yeah, you can see the main stationary sites there. The Arch de Triomphe and the
Yeah,
Champs-Élysées, the Concorde, all around there. It takes about a day to wander around to see the Louvre properly, which was
yeah.
probably more of a winter activity. But yeah, it's a um, yeah. I mean, it's an incredible world we live in now, and I mean, even at the moment now, the airline industry is probably going to try and pick up and everything. The trouble is, yeah, there is a recession coming, which will inhibit. It might be a natural thing that the holiday trade will drop off for a time, while people got to be able to find a way to afford to eat in the UK, other places, yeah, in Northern Europe as well. Given the fact it's easy, I mean, you can drive down in Northern Europe across into Spain and other places where you can't really do that from the UK. You can go on the Channel Tunnel or other ways of doing it, which gets quite expensive. Um, but yeah, getting back to your original issue, yeah, I mean, I can understand local people. I mean, in the UK, we've got the same problem with properties being bought in Cornwall and Devon and other regions by wealthier people from the southeast of England, where I come from. Yeah, just to go there for about 3 weekends a year or something. Yeah. They don't even rent the places out. They just don't bother to rent the places out. I mean, again, I mean, it's what the government are threatening to do. Anywhere that's empty, they're gonna be putting asylum seekers in them. Yeah, which will probably be blocked because there's a lot of MPs have probably got these places as their secondary homes. Yeah,
That's Angela Rayner.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's certainly an interesting time, but yeah, it's laughable. But people that are homeless have my sympathy.
Dear
Yeah.
Sam, I can't do this anymore because, of course, his house got a bit of a fire damage on the front.
Hmm. Was it Romanian or Ukrainian that did that with a very interesting side hustle?